And so we literally came back from school, climbed on our ponies, and we lived just under the downs. So we used to get on our ponies, ride up the downs, have a picnic.
The Princess of Wales was all smiles as she stepped out for her first Commonwealth Day appearance in 2 years, looking radiant in red. But behind Buckingham Palace's glittering hallways, quiet storms have always brewed. Public smiles often mask tense negotiations, careful maneuvers, and hidden rivalries. And recently, that carefully curated facade has started to crack, not over Meghan Markle or rebellious staff, but due to a political storm directed squarely at Queen Camilla herself. What began as whispers among backbench lords and murmurs on social media has grown into a full-blown constitutional and personal crisis. In a move that sent shockwaves through both Parliament and the palace, the House of Lords voted to strip Camilla's extended family of royal status and privileges. For years, Camilla's children, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes, had benefited from a subtle elevation, never official, but visible in ways that caused public curiosity. Lavish security, access to royal residences, and even discussions of honorary titles had given the family a quiet prominence. While they were never legally royalty, their close connection to the Queen Consort allowed them privileges that fueled public frustration. Many Britons questioned why taxpayers should fund or facilitate ceremonial roles for those without bloodline entitlement. The monarchy, after all, is traditionally built on lineage and duty, not backroom favoritism. Camilla's rise alongside Charles in the 2023 coronation further fueled these tensions. Her family's growing influence prompted whispers that the monarchy might be morphing into a family enterprise for the Shans. Parliament, encouraged by public sentiment and reform-minded MPs rumored to support Prince William's vision of a leaner monarchy, acted decisively. The Lords passed a motion prohibiting Camilla's children and grandchildren from ever receiving royal titles, honors, or public funding. The message was clear. Privilege by marriage would no longer extend to Camilla's family. Inside the palace, the reaction was explosive. Camilla reportedly erupted in fury, shocking staff and visibly distressing King Charles. According to sources, she believed this to be a direct attack on her bloodline and suspected Prince William might have quietly permitted it. It was more than a political decision, it was a declaration. A new authority was asserting itself in the monarchy, and Camilla's influence was receding. The Queen Consort's scramble to defend her family's status raised a singular question. Had she finally overplayed her hand? To understand the backlash, it's essential to consider how Camilla had quietly elevated the Shand family over 2 decades. From the shadows of public disfavor, she had risen to the throne while ensuring her children slowly gained prominence. Tom, a well-known food writer, began appearing at events traditionally reserved for close royals. Diplomats, titled aristocrats, and even palace briefings treated him with care. Chauffeur-driven cars, occasional security protection, and de facto royal treatment marked his gradual integration. Meanwhile, Laura Lopez was afforded reserve seating at royal occasions, subtly reinforcing her family's presence. Even Camilla's grandchildren began attending family-only royal functions and were occasionally included in public photographs. These actions were deliberate, symbolic, and unnoticed by the wider public at first. By proximity and procedure, Camilla was weaving her family into the monarchy. However, the British public gradually took notice. Social media and tabloids questioned why Camilla's children received royal treatment without official royal status. For those who revered Princess Diana's legacy, this felt like a rewriting of royal tradition to benefit Camilla's personal ambitions. Insiders claimed Camilla lobbied behind closed doors for discreet titles or recognition for her grandchildren, feeling they deserved it as part of her legacy. The 2023 coronation intensified scrutiny. Camilla insisted her grandchildren attend, while Prince Harry's children were absent, fueling speculation about her favoritism. Even Princess Anne reportedly expressed concern, reportedly remarking, "I thought this was a monarchy, not a family reunion for the Shans." Prince William remained private, attentive but non-committal. Insiders say he privately favored a leaner monarchy focused on duty over privilege. Money was another factor. News that Camilla's family benefited from state-funded security and perks intensified pressure on Parliament. Public outrage grew as the UK faced economic challenges, and scrutiny over public spending made Camilla's family a target. Westminster whispers turned into legislative action. What had once been an uncomfortable but manageable situation escalated into a constitutional crisis. The Shand family's elevation, once discreet, had become a symbol of unchecked royal entitlement. The House of Lords acted with precision. Lord Halberton, a respected crossbench peer, tabled a motion titled Review of State Privileges and Ceremonial Rights for Non-Blood Relatives of the Crown. The bureaucratic language masked a sharp intent. Camilla's children and grandchildren would be prohibited from titles, ceremonial roles, and taxpayer-funded privileges. Initially, hesitation lingered. Parliament rarely intervenes in royal matters, yet the tide of public sentiment was undeniable. Over 70% of Britons opposed granting benefits to non-blood royals. Hashtags like #TrimTheCrown and #RoyalReform now trended widely. Support reportedly came from behind the scenes. Prince William's aides quietly backed a vision for a cleaner, more disciplined monarchy, signaling that the future king would not obstruct parliamentary reform. During debates, peers criticized the monarchy for nepotism, asserting that the crown should not be a private club for relatives of the queen consort. To many palace aides, the surprise wasn't the motion itself, but that it passed. The House of Lords voted overwhelmingly in favor. The Prime Minister's office confirmed they would uphold the decision. For Camilla's family, the ruling was final. No titles, no ceremonial duties, no official royal status. Inside Clarence House, the aftermath was chaotic. Camilla, who had anticipated a quiet summer of garden parties and charitable engagements, was blindsided. Sources report she was inconsolable. The humiliation went beyond public perception. It was personal. She suspected intrigue and even saw betrayal from her spouse. Reports allege she directed her fury at advisors for failing to anticipate the motion, chastised Charles's senior aides, and even threatened to withdraw from public office indefinitely if her family's status wasn't restored. Her anger reportedly extended toward King Charles. Insiders claim she confronted him directly, demanding action. Charles, bound by constitutional limits, reportedly told her there was nothing he could do. Camilla, concerned more with legacy than procedure, perceived this as a betrayal. The rejection of her children wasn't just political, it was personal. She allegedly believed William orchestrated the move, suspecting Catherine's influence behind it. Observers suggest Camilla described Kate as a calculating actress whose smile hides knives, reflecting the intensity of her rage. Staff were left reeling. Some reportedly requested transfers to escape the crossfire. Others expressed concern over Camilla's mental state, fearing instability. King Charles, deeply distressed, faced the unprecedented reality that the throne was powerless against a parliamentary decision directly challenging his queen consort. Camilla's anger shifted from explosive outbursts to a cold, calculating silence. She refused public appearances, canceled private events, and spoke privately of vengeance, not recovery. Camilla's assumptions had backfired. Her belief that fury would intimidate Parliament only galvanized reformers. The House of Lords motion evolved from symbolic to substantive, directly challenging the monarchy's privilege. Senior peers convened follow-up sessions to formalize recommendations. Camilla's children and grandchildren were explicitly barred from future royal honors, taxpayer-funded benefits, and ceremonial roles. The verdict's language was unequivocal. The crown must not be diluted by marriage-based patronage. The public reaction was jubilant. Op-eds praised the House of Lords' decisiveness, and social media erupted with hashtags like #RoyalNepotism and #StripTheShans. For years, Britons complained about royal excess and public expense. Finally, Parliament acted decisively. The message was clear. Old rules no longer applied. The monarchy could no longer rely solely on tradition to protect its privileges. Camilla's efforts to integrate her family into the monarchy, which had been patient, subtle, and strategic, were undone in a single motion. The consequences were both personal and political. The queen consort's ambitions were curtailed, her influence diminished, and her family's public profile stripped. It marked a pivotal moment for the monarchy, revealing the limits of personal power when confronted by constitutional authority and public accountability. Observers note that this confrontation will reshape the royal landscape for years. Camilla's reaction, initial fury, personal accusations, and strategic recalibration exposed vulnerabilities within the monarchy. King Charles, Prince William, and the palace household now face the delicate task of maintaining stability while managing public perception. Meanwhile, Camilla's family must adjust to their new status. Symbolic connections with no institutional backing. The event also signals a broader shift in the monarchy's relationship with Parliament and the public. Historically, royal privilege operated within opaque boundaries, protected by tradition and political reticence. The House of Lords' decisive intervention challenges that paradigm, asserting accountability over inherited or marital privilege. It underscores the public's growing intolerance for perceived nepotism, excess, and misuse of taxpayer funds. For Camilla, the personal cost is immense. Her painstakingly built family legacy has been disrupted. Her reputation, carefully cultivated over decades, has been tested. Public perception of her as a serene, composed consort has been complicated by reports of her anger and sense of betrayal. Internally, palace dynamics may shift as aides and family members recalibrate their roles in light of new restrictions. As the monarchy adjusts, several lessons emerge. First, even centuries-old institutions are vulnerable to oversight when public scrutiny is intense. Second, personal ambition, however carefully executed, may clash with constitutional authority. Third, the monarchy's survival depends not only on tradition, but on careful navigation of public sentiment and legal structures. Camilla's experience exemplifies the intersection of personal ambition and institutional constraint. The stripping of royal titles from Camilla's family is more than a procedural adjustment. It's a public statement about the limits of privilege. It demonstrates that Parliament can act decisively when public sentiment and principles of fairness converge. For Camilla, it's a moment of recalibration, a challenge to her vision for her family and her influence within the monarchy. While her rage and disappointment were immediate and intense, longer-term consequences will shape royal dynamics for years. Camilla must now navigate a landscape where her family's integration into the monarchy is symbolic, and authority rests more firmly with constitutional and public oversight than personal influence. The House of Lords' actions have set a precedent. Privilege without bloodline entitlement will not be tolerated, and public accountability is paramount. The monarchy itself faces a choice. It can adapt to these constraints, emphasizing duty, transparency, and lean governance, or risk further scrutiny and potential erosion of legitimacy. Camilla's ambitions, while curtailed, remain a point of tension within the palace. Her reactions, initial fury, accusations, and strategic planning reflect the enduring challenge of balancing personal ambition with institutional responsibility. Ultimately, the events surrounding the stripping of Camilla's family's royal titles underscore the delicate balance at the heart of the modern British monarchy. Personal influence, public accountability, and constitutional authority intersect in ways that can dramatically reshape royal power. Camilla's actions and the House of Lords' response illustrate that even centuries-old institutions are not immune to reform and oversight. The Queen Consort's fury, the public satisfaction, and Parliament's decisive action together mark a historic moment. The monarchy, long protected by tradition, has been reminded that privilege comes with limits, and legacy can never be assumed. For Queen Camilla, the storm is far from over. She may have lost a battle in Parliament, but the struggle for influence, legacy, and respect continues. The palace watches, the public observes, and the monarchy itself adapts. The House of Lords' intervention has changed the rules of engagement. Camilla's family will no longer enjoy unearned privilege, and the Queen Consort herself must navigate a world where ambition is constrained by law, expectation, and scrutiny. The future of her influence and her family's standing will be measured not by proximity to the throne, but by careful adherence to the boundaries now firmly set by Parliament. The repercussions of this dramatic showdown will ripple through the monarchy for years. Camilla's reaction, intense, personal, and revealing, has humanized the Queen Consort in ways the public rarely sees. Her family's stripped titles serve as a cautionary tale about the limits of influence gained through marriage. For the palace, it's a reminder that personal ambition must coexist with institutional limits. For the public, it's proof that accountability can reach even the highest corridors of power. And for the monarchy itself, it is a defining moment, one that may ultimately shape its evolution in the 21st century. Camilla's legacy, once quietly rising, now faces its sternest test. The House of Lords' decisive action has reinforced that royal privilege is not absolute, that personal ambition has boundaries, and that public and parliamentary oversight remain critical. The Queen Consort must now rebuild her influence within these constraints, recalibrate her strategy, and navigate the new reality of a monarchy where titles, privileges, and recognition are not simply bestowed, but earned within the framework of law and public expectation. Her story, one of ambition, fury, and recalibration, will be remembered as a pivotal chapter in the ongoing evolution of the British royal family. The palace remains tense, the public engaged, and the future uncertain. Camilla has been tested, challenged, and publicly checked in a way that no consort has been in recent memory. As the monarchy moves forward, the lessons of this event resonate. Legacy cannot be assumed, influence can be contested, and privilege is never absolute. The Queen Consort may have been humbled, but she remains a key figure in the royal narrative. Her ambitions now tempered by the undeniable limits imposed by Parliament and public scrutiny. The drama is far from over, and all eyes remain on Buckingham Palace as Camilla recalibrates, plots, and continues her role in a monarchy that has been forever reminded that power, influence, and legacy are fragile and contingent. Camilla's fury, Parliament's resolve, and the public's attention have converged to create a moment of historic significance. The stripping of royal titles from her family will stand as a defining event of her tenure as Queen Consort. It underscores the tension between personal ambition and institutional authority, revealing that even within the oldest and most prestigious monarchy in the world, rules, oversight, and public accountability ultimately prevail. For Camilla, the personal and political collide, creating a narrative of resilience, recalibration, and the ongoing challenge of navigating the complex landscape of royal life. Her family, once quietly elevated, must now adjust to a more limited existence within the monarchy, while the Queen Consort herself faces the delicate task of maintaining dignity, influence, and legacy within newly defined boundaries. The House of Lords' action has reshaped the royal landscape, sending a clear signal that even queens must operate within limits and that privilege cannot be assumed or extended purely by marriage. Camilla's journey, full of ambition, fury, and now recalibration, marks a historic moment in the monarchy's evolution, one that will be remembered for generations to come. The palace, the public, and Parliament have each played a role in redefining the rules. Camilla's reaction, fiery, personal, and unprecedented, revealed the human side of power, ambition, and legacy within the monarchy. While she may have lost a battle, the story is far from finished. The House of Lords has set the precedent, but Camilla's influence, her ambition, and her capacity to navigate palace politics remain potent forces. The drama, the tension, and the lessons of this historic event will echo through Buckingham Palace, Westminster, and the public consciousness for years. The stripping of royal titles from Camilla's family is a testament to accountability, constitutional authority, and public scrutiny. For Queen Camilla, it is both a personal and political reckoning, forcing her to navigate her ambitions within newly established limits. Her reaction, intense and revealing, has left an indelible mark on the monarchy, illustrating the delicate balance between personal influence and institutional oversight. As she recalibrates her role, the monarchy itself adapts, demonstrating that even centuries-old traditions are subject to evolution, constraint, and the checks imposed by law and public expectation. This event is a historic reminder that the crown is not an unchecked instrument of personal ambition. Camilla's family's privileges, once quietly accepted, have been curtailed. The Queen Consort's response, both furious and strategic, highlights the tension between personal legacy and public accountability. For the monarchy, this moment serves as a critical juncture, one that reinforces constitutional boundaries, reasserts parliamentary authority, and signals to the public that even the highest offices are accountable. Camilla's fury, Parliament's decisive action, and public engagement together illustrate the complex interplay of power, tradition, and oversight that defines the modern British monarchy. Camilla's story, marked by ambition, fury, and recalibration, will remain a defining chapter of her tenure. The House of Lords' intervention has set clear boundaries, challenging assumptions of privilege based solely on marriage. The monarchy must now operate within these parameters, balancing tradition with accountability. The Queen Consort, while temporarily restrained, continues to navigate this intricate landscape, her influence tempered but far from extinguished. Her family must adjust, the palace must adapt, and the monarchy itself evolves, reminded that legacy, influence, and privilege are contingent, and that even the most deeply entrenched traditions are subject to scrutiny and reform. Camilla's anger, Parliament's assertiveness, and the public's scrutiny combine to create a historic inflection point. The removal of titles from her family underscores the limits of personal ambition within constitutional monarchy. The Queen Consort, though constrained, remains a central figure, recalibrating her strategies and ambitions within clearly defined boundaries. This historic event will shape public perception, palace dynamics, and the monarchy's evolution for years, demonstrating that even centuries-old institutions are not immune to reform, accountability, and the balancing of personal ambition with constitutional authority. Camilla's fury, the Lord's decisive action, and public engagement converge to illustrate the evolving nature of the monarchy. Her family's stripped titles are a tangible reminder that privileges can be revoked and that legacy must be earned within the framework of law and public expectation. For the Queen Consort, this moment represents both a personal setback and a political challenge, forcing recalibration of influence, strategy, and expectations. Buckingham Palace, Westminster, and the public now share in witnessing a historic shift, one that will define Camilla's tenure and leave a lasting imprint on the monarchy itself. The House of Lords' intervention, Camilla's response, and public scrutiny collectively mark a new era in the British monarchy. Privilege, influence, and recognition are no longer assumed. Camilla's ambitions, while curtailed, remain a factor in the palace dynamics, challenging the monarchy to reconcile tradition with accountability. The public, empowered by parliamentary action, now expects transparency and fairness. Camilla's journey through fury, recalibration, and strategy will be remembered as a defining narrative of the monarchy in the 21st century. In the end, Camilla's ambitions, Parliament's assertiveness, and public scrutiny have converged to reshape the monarchy's rules of engagement. Her family's loss of titles, privileges, and recognition underscores the limits of influence gained through marriage. The Queen Consort's reaction, while intense and personal, illustrates the human side of ambition within a constitutional institution.